Is Weapons really the scariest movie of the year, as everyone says? Hi everyone, my name is XP Boost, and today I'd like to talk about Weapons, which I watched yesterday, as I really enjoyed it, and I think all of you should go watch it, especially if you like movies. Just for a bit of context, I've been watching movies that come out in the cinema well, all my life, but in the last 2 years, I've really been going at it, seeing everything that comes out, especially if it has good reviews. So, yeah, I have a bit of knowledge about movies. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but yeah, I really like movies. And today we'll be covering things such as the structure of the movie, the cinematography, and other fun details about it. I hope you really enjoy this. So, you might be wondering, what is Weapons about? And I'm going to be very, very vague because I think the movie works better the less you know. I will say it starts with 17 kids leaving all their houses at the same time at 2:17 a.m. And from there, the whole movie goes on to explore and investigate why that happened. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that because I think you're gonna enjoy the movie much more if you go only knowing that. The reason why I'm so adamant that you should go see this movie with as little knowledge as possible is that I did that. I had just seen one small section of one of the trailers and didn't really know what I was looking at. I just saw some children running while T-posing or almost T-posing, which I found kind of funny, and it caught my interest. But I think it works better as a surprise movie. I'll also say I was quite surprised by the cast of the movie. So Julia Garner is in it as a teacher. Josh Brolin is also on it as a concerned parent, and Benedict Wong acts as the director of the school. So I didn't expect to see such a large part of the Marvel cast. Honestly, it felt like a Marvel reunion. On someone else's video that I was checking out after I watched the movie, I also saw someone joke about how the Silver Surfer was teaming up with Wong to fight Thanos, which was kind of funny. There are a couple of other characters that play major roles in the film and are played by actors such as Alder Ehrenreich. Sorry if I said that wrong. He plays a cop. There's also Carrie Christopher, who plays one of the only kids that didn't disappear or let's say run away. And there's also Austin Abrams who plays a drug addict. That makes up most of the main cast. There is another character that I could not find on IMDb, and I think I'm just gonna leave out of this review as it probably will work better. So yeah, I'll keep that quiet, and you can find it out in the movie. Overall, I think the performances are really good. The actors do a really good job. I'm gonna get a bit more into it later on, but the movie jumps a lot between being scary and super wacky and over the top. So the actors really need to change their emotions quickly and I guess act according to what the movie is showing at the time. And I think they do a very good job. I really liked Julia Garner in the role. I thought she was really good. I hadn't seen her in that much stuff. I know she's in Ozark, and I've seen her in on Fantastic Four First Steps, and I did like her there. But I was just surprised. I liked her here quite a lot. I thought she was really good. So yeah, even though you might not get Oscar performances here, I think they do a very good job. Now I want to talk about the cinematography of this movie. I was pleasantly surprised by what I saw. I didn't expect it to be filmed as well. I don't know why, but it just surprised me. For example, I noticed that there's a lot of scenes where with tracking shots of actors, so it can be either from behind or from the front, and it's very well filmed. The camera movement is very smooth. Everything is done very methodically, and you get to see things around the character that make you think, "Oh, is something gonna happen? Are they gonna get scared? Is the character in trouble?" There's one in specific that you will notice where one of the characters is being filmed and tracked from the front, and it's really cool. It's not necessarily scary, but I just really enjoyed it. Another thing I noticed is there's one scene, for example, where there's like a montage of how something is being done, and the character's in the middle of the frame while the background changes around him, and it was really well done, really well transitioned. I want to get into more details to not spoil. And then another thing to mention is that, which I'm gonna get a bit into it now with the storytelling, but the way things are focused allow for the movie to tell you its story without having to dump exposition on you. So you'll see they might focus on objects or locations, and it makes it very easy to understand what is happening without being told. Now that I mentioned storytelling with the cinematography section, I'd like to just go a bit into it without getting into details of the plot. But I think this movie approaches storytelling in a pretty unconventional way. So it reminded me a bit, for example, of the movie Bullet Train or even Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, where you jump between characters and see the same events from different perspectives. So that was very interesting. I think it works really well with this movie because apart from just seeing, well, how the, let's call it village, it's not even a city, the village they uh, live in works and how it makes it seem alive because you see different perspectives and different characters. But also, I think it works very well with the mystery of the movie because things are fed to you very slowly. At the end, you do get to learn everything you need or most of what you need. There's still some things that aren't explained, but yeah, it just works very well with that kind of finding things little by little throughout the movie. I will say though, there are certain sections in the movie that drag a bit for me, and it's just because I think they could have been made a bit shorter or just not not explore some of the things that they shown because I don't think they're as important. But overall, I think it tells the story in a very interesting way with good pacing, and the mystery is there till the very end. So I wanted to mention that this movie actually tricked me. So it starts with a narration by one of the kids that didn't disappear, and I just thought like it was gonna be a very normal conventional horror movie because it starts by saying things like, "Oh, this is based on a true story," where you won't hear anything about it unless you ask the right people. So I was like, "Oh, this is just what every horror movie says," you know. Uh, but I was very surprised by how it decided to approach horror. So this movie jumps a lot between horror and humor. At one moment you might be scared, and then the next one you might be laughing, and it jumps very seamlessly, which I was very surprised. I guess it makes sense knowing that it's made by the people who made Barbarian, because that's a movie that also uses humor and horror together very well. But yeah, I was just very happy to see that it wasn't just all horror. I think from what I've seen recently and in movies with elevated horror, I think it works better when you combine horror with humor. I just find it more interesting that way than just pure horror. So yeah, that was very surprising and very funny. Um, I really enjoyed that aspect of the movie. I also want to pinpoint one thing from this movie that really surprised me. It has one of the most bonkers endings I've seen in a while in a movie. Like, it was pretty crazy. Like, when you think about it a bit, you're like, what? How are they showing this on the big screen, you know? And I am going to say nothing about it, but I was really pleasantly surprised by the ending. I feel like it might not work for some people due to the nature of it, but I really enjoyed it. I personally like when movies take bigger risks with things. I think the ending was a risk that worked out really well. So yeah, I haven't really gone into the music of the movie, not because I think it's bad or anything. It's just I don't think the movie does a lot in that regards. It only uses music very sparingly. When it uses, it's good. For example, at the beginning, I think it chooses a pretty funny song for a scene at like the first 5-10 minutes, and then there's also a nice song closer to the end, which I found kind of daunting and I wouldn't say scary, but it just sets the mood very well. But yeah, I don't have a lot to say in that regard apart that from the sections where it's used, it's a good selection. Now that we have covered everything that I wanted to discuss today, I want to answer the question: is this the scariest movie of the year? Well, even though I really, really enjoyed it, and I think it's a great movie that you should go watch, I don't think it's the scariest movie of the year. I don't even think it's that scary. I think it's a bit overhyped in that sense. But I do think you should go watch this. I think it is a great movie. Some of the pros that I discussed here are the cinematography, the characters and the acting, the way the story is told in an unconventional manner, the juxtaposition between being scary and humor. All those things make for an incredible movie. The only thing that I think detracts a bit from the movie is some of the pacing. As I mentioned before, there are sections in the movie more towards the beginning where I feel things could be have been trimmed down, and that would have made the runtime a bit shorter, which is obvious always good for a movie if you don't have anything to show. Um, so yeah, I think it's a movie that you need to go see it, and I am gonna give it a 4 out of 5 stars, which to me means it's a great movie. If you're still here watching this video, thank you so much for using your time to listen to this review, and I hope it convinces you to watch the movie in the cinema. It's the first video I ever make for YouTube, so I know I have a lot to learn, and I'm sure you guys will have a lot of constructive criticism. Uh, but yeah, I do hope you enjoy it. And in the future, I'm looking to review other methods of entertainment, such as games and shows, because I really enjoy those. I also want to look into potentially doing more videos related to life topics, such as different hobbies or how to improve in a corporate job, things like that. So if you're interested in any of that, please subscribe and like the video. And yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. Bye.